is David Rose. He is up in Mojave County. He is a pastor. He's a local pastor up there. He's been married to his wife, Crystal, for 10 years, and they have two children. He recently, I think this was last year, was elected to the school board up there in what they called the
Yeah.
MAGA takeover, and he's now the president of Lake Havasu School Board. He
Yeah.
has just put his hat in the ring for LD30 State House. So that is why we're interviewing him today on State 40 News. Thank you, Pastor Rose.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Now, I hear that you are writing a book that's coming out pretty soon.
Yes, absolutely. So I have a book coming out. We're hoping to have it out at the beginning of this coming year. It's called From Prison to Purpose, the story of David Rose. And so a little bit about my life. I grew up in, like a lot of people, I grew up in a broken home. For me, a very abusive home. And so childhood was broken, which broken homes create broken children. And broken children that don't go through a healing process turn into broken adults. And so I went from childhood, teenage years into my young adult life, broken, lost, no direction in my life, became a club promoter. And I grew up in church, but I played the game at church with the face, everything at home's okay, because no child wants to admit, hey, my home is horrible, my home life's horrible. And I think even at a young age, kids have pride. They want to be proud and say, hey, I have a great home because my friends have a great home, that type of thing. And so I just never talked about what was going on behind closed doors. So go into my adult life, get into the club scene, totally walk away from the church, surround myself with the wrong people, start going in and out of jail a lot through my 20s, bad checks for the, was in Kentucky, it's called theft by deception, and on probation. And until finally it came all to a screeching halt where I had, let's see what happened. I had probation revocation coming up, and I knew, hey, there's a good chance that I could potentially be getting ready to go to prison. And so I went on the run. Hey, if I'm going to go to prison, I'm going to party it up until they catch me. Just completely lost my mind until I got caught, and then get caught, go get taken. I was in San Diego hanging out, got taken back to Kentucky. And I want to tell you, living life on the run was not fun. You're always looking behind your shoulder, and all this will be in the book, but go into great detail. So, in all honesty, when I got caught, it was a sense of relief. I was ready for that to be over. I was ready to face what I had coming, go back to Kentucky, go into court. My attorney had actually tried to work out a deal for me to go back out on probation again. And we get before the judge, and the judge says, Mr. Rose, I think that you have made a lot of really bad decisions in your life. And if I just feel inside of me today, if I don't do something, and he used these key words, then you will never step into your purpose. And that hit me. I was like, what? And so he sent me to my time, revoked my probation. I go to prison, and now I'm mad. Everybody, when you're broken and you're lost, you play the blame game. It's everybody else's fault. You don't want to admit your own garbage. And until one day, I'm going to say a year and a half, probably a year in of my sentence, and I'm sitting in my cell all alone. Remind you, I grew up in church, so I understand what it feels like to feel the sense of the presence of God around you. And I'm sitting in my cell, and I just feel the presence of God come into my cell. I'm sitting there all by myself, not thinking about God, not thinking about church, not thinking about anything. And I just felt the Lord say to me, are you done running? Choose this day who you're going to serve. And it just hit me, and I just broke. I fell on my face. I cried out to God. I repented, and I said, God, this isn't the life for me. This is not who I want to be. And I gave my life back to Christ. Got then, I can't remember how many months later, got put back out on parole, and finished out my time on parole, never looked back. My wife, Crystal, always loves me to be sure to tell people she did not know me in that time of my life. And she did not know me in my pre-Jesus days, but when I just began to surround myself with people, men of God, who could help pour into my life, cultivate the things of God in my life, and felt the call to ministry, got into ministry, got into Bible school through the Church of God School of Ministry, and then became a youth pastor. From youth pastor, I became a pastor that I now serve today in leadership, even within our own denomination. And I'm not proud of who I used to be, but it's definitely a redemption story that I'm proud of. And I've seen God just do incredible things, incredible doors that I don't deserve to walk through, tables that I definitely do not deserve to sit at. But God has been faithful. And I'm very thankful for that.
So your story is definitely a redemption story, and your church family, I'm sure, has heard the story, and this is something that you use in your ministry, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I tell this story way more often than people do. And what I love every time that I run for office, people love to start to tell this story, believing that it's going to be some sort of weapon to use against me, not that with them not realizing I tell the story probably more than anybody, and that I'm not ashamed to tell the story. It's my redemption story. And for me, it shows the goodness of who God is. And when we look through scripture, God always used broken people for his glory. And so if God can use me, he can use anybody. And I've tried to use that story to encourage others that have been where I have been, and for families that have children who have been that I am or currently are, and that it can be an encouraging story that brings hope to the hopeless, in all honesty.
Even in your position as school board, and eventually, should you be successful in the state house, how do you think that will help you? The fact that you have had experiences with people who have been from broken homes, have been incarcerated, have chosen a
Hey,
wrong path. How's that going to help?
no, that's a great question. So I currently have the great honor of serving on the National Faith Advisory Board, which is the pastoral team to the President of the United States. And so that's one of my favorite parts. My story, besides giving my life to Christ, is who would have ever thought that I would be serving on the pastoral team to the President? I'd be able to sit in the Oval Office and pray with him and have conversations with him. And every time I'm just do anything that involves the president and our team, I'm just like, what is happening right now? Is this for me? I bring the experience of prison to the table, bring the experience of childhood trauma to the table of how do we address these issues to get help for the people that really need the help. And also, I bring to the table me a different perspective of what prison looks like. So often we see the left say we need prison reform. We want to reinvent what prison looks like, and those are dangerous ideologies. I'm just going to be very honest with you. Idea is to lessen crime and really babyfy these prisoners, and that's not the answer at all. We need stronger prison reform. We need to protect our law enforcement and our corrections officers. They need more support. Seen firsthand how dangerous that job is for law enforcement and corrections officers. They need the support of our state legislation to get behind them and say, we support you. We really need to tighten down daily procedures of what our prisons look like. You need to make sure, because of what average taxpayer doesn't realize, that our tax money is allowing people to just lay around and do nothing, do their time, three hots in a cot and go home. That doesn't change their life. They're just waiting to get back out to recommit crime. Sometimes when they're in prison, they make new friends and they create new ideas, and then they get out, then they reoffend, and they're right back. And so, how do we change that? We need to bring job skills to the table for inmates. We need to bring education to the table for inmates. And it doesn't need to be an option, it needs to be required. If you're going to be in our prison system, you're going to get the help that you need to better your life. And it does come down to some people don't want to change. It's got to be a willingness within them to truly want change. There's just a lot of things that I think we can do to change our system and it not be a waste of money of the taxpayers.
Okay, and then my last question for you is we see a lot of people on the left who, grew up on the wrong side of the tracks and then in the public service. We don't as often see that on the right. And I think the right can be a little bit more unforgiving sometimes. So as far as
Yeah.
the fiscal conservatism, especially because some of your crimes were in crime, checks,
Yeah.
can the 30 voters be sure that are going to govern as a fiscal conservative, that you have done and also how long ago was it you had that transformation and that you
Yeah.
have been in
No,
any
that's it.
trouble?
Yeah, that's a great question. I got out of prison in, I believe it was the beginning of 2014, and went into almost, I think, 2 years. And of course, in my 20s, in and out of jail. I recommitted my life to Christ in 20, right in the beginning of 20, into 2012, going into 2013. And while I was incarcerated, shared the gospel, prayed with people, and just said, God, while I'm here, use me. This is the harvest. Then, of course, was released. But that's a great question. I got elected to the school board. I said, hey, look, you've got a lot of work to do. We see the radical left attacking our education system, and we were the first school district in the nation to do a complete ban on DEI. in education and in hiring practices. And then with Be Fiscally Conservative, I said, want a complete audit done of our finances, the school district. And we found a lot of unspent money that was not going to the classrooms, was not going to teachers. Our school district, hiring teachers from other countries. And the answer was, oh, we can't afford to hire teachers, so this is our best answer. And I said, that doesn't work. We had literally, I walked into a classroom and we had a foreign teacher who barely spoke English teaching a seventh grade English class. And I just said, and I got with our board, said, this has to stop. We went into about it with our superintendent and turned it around. We gave the greatest raise that our school district had ever seen. And this past year, we were able to fill every classroom with American teachers and not hire teachers anymore that don't speak English, that were hired from other countries. That was just unacceptable. And it's because one of the biggest waste of money that we see is in school districts not being held accountable for how they're spending taxpayer money. And when I get to the state house, that is something, my experience, that one of the things I want to bring to the table to bring greater accountability to school boards all across the state. And part of the problem is, number one, it's a non-paid position, it's a volunteer position, and they tell you when you, oh, it's just once a month. Well, if you really want to make a difference, it's more than a once a month gig. You're really going to have to dig in, look at what is going on in your school district, what changes need to be made. Is your school district being fiscally responsible? And if not, how do you fix it? And we got right to work in that. We've turned the district around financially and brought financial accountability back to the Lake Havasu Unified School District.
Pastor Rose, will you come back and talk to us when your book launches? I'd love to do a
Absolutely.
review of your book.
Absolutely.
Okay, again, and let our viewers know where they can find you at on social media.
Absolutely. So you can go to David Rose for Arizona on Facebook. X, it's Rose AZ. And then you can also go to my website, which is votedavidrose.com.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.